Welcome back. So let's get right to it. The first thing I did was take this entire guitar apart. Started with the strings, then unscrewed the back plate, removed the neck, and then the string trees. If you recall from my previous video when assembling this guitar, I stripped the threads on these screws pretty badly, so I tried a number of different methods to remove them. I started with the elastic band trick, didn't work. I tried using my wire stripper like a pair of needle nose pliers, managed to remove one, but the other one was being stubborn, so I used a stronger pair of pliers, and I ended up bending the second string tree out of shape trying to get to the screw, which I eventually did, but that string tree was dead. Afterwards, I removed the old tuners, those were straightforward, and then I removed the nut. I started by scoring the edges of the nut with a craft knife, then used a pair of pliers to wiggle it out. And just in case, I lightly sanded the edges of the nut slot to remove any potential residue. So with replacing the nut, there were a few things I wanted to check. The first was whether the nut had a flat or curved bottom. This matters for Fender type guitars. The other thing is the nut width. In this case, the bottom is flat, that's pretty obvious, but the width I measured using a digital caliper. It's 1.64, which is a little shorter than the average Tele nut width. Also, as an aside, something I should have mentioned in my older video, the fingerboard radius of this Tele neck is actually 12 inches, not 9.5. Why is this important? Well, most Fender guitars have a radius of 9.5, while most Gibsons have 12. So this neck doesn't actually have the same feel as a traditional Tele. Rather, it's got a slightly flatter fingerboard than what you normally expect from a Tele. Anyways, moving on. Turning to the body, next I unscrewed the pickguard and the control plate. Then right here, you'll see me take pictures of the bridge saddles to make note of what they look like. I'll explain in a future video why I did this. After that, I unscrewed the bridge from the body. Next, I unscrewed the neck pickup from the pickguard, then unscrewed the bridge pickup from the bridge. Then I disconnected both pickups from the control plate by tracing each cable from the pickup. Next, I removed the knobs from the pots. I used what's supposedly a multi-purpose guitar tool, and it did help for lifting the knobs off, but it was useless for loosening the nuts. I used a nut socket instead. So I mentioned that I added some personal touches to this guitar, and I'll elaborate on this in a later video, but for now, what I was doing here was labeling which ends of the control switch were for the bridge and the neck, and I was examining the different parts on this control plate, and I found that the existing wiring was too short for me to shift things around. I even unscrewed and disconnected the input jack to allow for some more slack on the wires. Still didn't help. So the only thing I could do for now was to take pictures for reference in terms of the wiring, and I would have to revisit this whole thing later. And that's it for this particular section. We'll continue with another next time. For the few tools I used in this video, links are in the description below. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.